Title: Our neighbor's security camera captured his last night. Help this channel grow. Like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe for more stories. This helps us a lot. Thank you. The story begins. This is Arthur McReady. Our neighbor. At 2:17 a.m., his security system recorded this. He stood like this for 7 minutes. Then, he turned, walked into the woods, and was never seen again. The first sign that something was wrong on Echo Street was the silence. It wasn't a peaceful quiet, it was a thick, suffocating absence. The dawn chorus of birds was gone. The distant hum of the highway had vanished. For the residents of this sleepy, tree-lined cul-de-sac in a nameless Oregon town, the morning of October 12th arrived without a sound. For Liam and Sarah, a young couple who had moved in just 3 months prior, the silence was broken by a frantic knocking. Their neighbor, Mrs. Gable, an 80-year-old widow with nerves of steel, stood on their porch, her face pale. "It's Arthur," she said, her voice trembling. "His dog's been howling since 3 a.m. His car is there, but he's not answering. It's not like him." Arthur McReady was a creature of habit. A retired engineer, his life ran with the precision of a Swiss watch. His lawn was perfectly manicured, his newspaper retrieved at 6:15 a.m. sharp. His absence was a discordant note in the symphony of suburban life. Liam, trying to ease Mrs. Gable's worry, mentioned that Arthur was paranoid about porch pirates and had a comprehensive security system. A few calls later, with the police non-committal, Liam reached Arthur's son, David, who lived out of state. With his verbal permission and a shared password, they accessed the cloud storage for Arthur's cameras. The system showed 4 views: the front door, the back patio, the driveway, and the living room. The footage was unremarkable until 2:10 a.m. The living room camera showed Arthur reading in his armchair. He suddenly looked up, not at the door, but towards the corner of the room, his head cocked as if listening to a faint sound. He muted the television. His expression shifted from curiosity to confusion, then to dawning fear. He stood, walking slowly to the front door camera's field of view. He peered through the peephole, then recoiled. He didn't call the police. Instead, he walked to his kitchen and poured a glass of water with a shaking hand. He then went out his side door, into the view of the driveway camera. That's when he froze. The timestamp read 2 hours 17 minutes and 4 seconds. For 7 agonizing minutes, Arthur McReady stood rooted to the spot, his bathrobe pulled tight against the chill, his eyes wide and unblinking, staring directly into the lens of his own security camera. It was the look of a man who had seen the end of his world. At 2 hours 24 minutes and 11 seconds, he turned with a strange, deliberate slowness and walked off camera, into the dark tree line at the edge of his property. He never looked back. The police, when they finally arrived, found nothing. No signs of a struggle. No forced entry. His wallet and keys were on the kitchen counter. The only thing out of place was the television, still muted, playing a silent infomercial for a product nobody would ever remember. The official report would later read, "Voluntary disappearance." But everyone on Echo Street who saw that footage knew. What Arthur McReady walked towards in those woods was not a voluntary act. The days following Arthur's disappearance were painted in shades of gray and paranoia. The police closed their active investigation, and the story was relegated to a 2-minute segment on the local news. But for the residents of Echo Street, the terror was just beginning. Liam and Sarah, unable to shake the image of Arthur's face, began reviewing the camera footage from other houses. Another neighbor, a tech worker named Ben, had a doorbell camera. On the night Arthur vanished, at 2:16 a.m., 1 minute before Arthur stepped outside, Ben's camera triggered. The motion-activated light flared on, illuminating his empty porch. But the audio picked it up, a low, melodic whistling. It was a tune none of them recognized, played by someone just out of frame. It was neither happy nor sad. It was empty. Then, the forgetfulness started. It was small things at first. Sarah couldn't find her car keys for an entire day, only to discover them in the freezer. Liam would walk into a room and completely blank on his purpose for being there. They chalked it up to stress. But Mrs. Gable confessed over the fence that she kept missing appointments, her once sharp memory becoming foggy. Ben, the tech worker, reported constant headaches and a persistent feeling of being watched, a sensation so strong he had his entire house swept for listening devices. Nothing was found. The final, chilling piece of the puzzle came from Arthur's own computer, which his son David had given Liam permission to examine, hoping for clues. Arthur was a meticulous archivist. Liam found a folder labeled echo_log. It contained audio recordings, dated over the preceding 6 months. Arthur's voice, calm and analytical at first, documented the changes on their street. April 3rd, noted a significant drop in ambient noise levels. Confirmed with decibel meter. 60% reduction from baseline. Asterisk, May 18th, the Reynolds family on lot number 4 moved out abruptly. No for sale sign. House looks empty. City records show no recent sale. Asterisk. Asterisk, July 1st, I am experiencing gaps in short-term memory. Lost 3 hours this afternoon. No recollection. Asterisk. The recordings grew more frantic. September 10th, the silence is not passive. It is a presence. It feeds on something. On memory. On attention. October 5th, I saw him tonight. A man in a dark coat, standing at the tree line. He was whistling. When I turned on the porch light, he was gone. But the whistling, it continued from a different direction. The last audio file was dated October 11th, the night he vanished. Arthur's voice was a raw, terrified whisper. It knows I've been listening. It knows I see the patterns. It's at the door right now. It's not knocking. It's just, waiting. I think it wants me to come out. The investigation had deepened, but the clues didn't add up to a rational conclusion. They pointed to something far more sinister than a simple crime. They pointed to a predator that wasn't human, one that hunted not for flesh, but for the very fabric of a person's mind. Armed with Arthur's logs, Liam and Sarah became desperate. They installed their own high-definition cameras, their property now a fortress of blinking red LEDs in the night. They stopped sleeping, taking shifts to watch the live feeds. The silence on the street was now a physical weight. 2 more families packed up and left in the middle of the night, offering no explanation. 1 week after finding the logs, at 2:16 a.m. precisely, the motion alert on Liam's phone blared. His heart hammered against his ribs as he opened the feed. It was the camera pointed at the tree line, the same one Arthur had walked towards. There, just at the edge of the darkness, stood the man in the dark coat. His back was to the camera. He was perfectly still. And then, he began to whistle that same, hollow, unrecognizable tune. Liam shook Sarah awake. They watched, paralyzed, as the figure stood there for exactly 7 minutes, the same duration Arthur had stood frozen. Then, the man stopped whistling. Slowly, impossibly slowly, he began to turn. This was it. They were about to see the face of the thing that had taken their neighbor. The camera's focus sharpened as the figure turned, its features coming into the light of the infrared lens. It was Arthur McReady. His face was gaunt, his eyes vacant and devoid of the terror that had been there before. They were flat, like polished stones. He looked directly into the lens, a faint, unnatural smile playing on his lips. It was not a smile of recognition or happiness. It was the smile of someone who had been utterly, completely emptied. He then raised a single finger to his lips in a universal sign for silence. And then, he was gone, melting back into the shadows of the woods. The police were called. A full search was conducted. No trace of Arthur was found. The official story remains a missing persons case. But Liam and Sarah know the truth. They packed their bags and moved within the month. The final shot of the documentary is a slow zoom in on a freeze frame from Liam's camera, the image of Arthur, smiling his empty smile, finger to his lips. The haunting, unresolved question is not what took Arthur McReady, but what it left behind in his place. And the even more terrifying thought, is it still on Echo Street, waiting in the silence for its next audience? If you thought this story was terrifying, wait until you hear what happened in the next one. Subscribe before it drops.